We have organized this side event at the COP15 to inform about the contribution from satellite agencies to climate monitoring. The satellites are able to cover the globe with information which no other instruments can do. And this way, satellites are very important for monitoring of the development of the globe and the climate.
Good evening and welcome to the session on satellites observations for monitoring climate change.
Clearly one of the good things that has been produced is Earth observation satellites. And as somebody who's rather new still to the world of Earth observations and satellites, I would distill the messages from the presentations we've heard today and from some of the last sessions into a very simple way, especially when I keep in mind policymakers who maybe do not follow these sort of scientific issues very closely. Clearly there's been remarkable progress to date on Earth observation satellites, and there are a few trends occurring that will accelerate this progress over the next few years. Obviously the technology is increasing rapidly, capabilities to monitor the Earth in terms of the resolution, the geographical coverage, all the new instruments coming online. A very important factor that's leveraging these investments in these new technologies is the coordination and the collaboration that's occurring among space agencies through CEOS, which is improving the access to information and the use of it, and basically making the investments much more efficient. At the same time, Gilberto mentioned the very important issue of data sharing principles, where the space agencies are really taking the lead on ensuring the full and open access to data, and again, making it much more valuable and available to policymakers and to scientists. They're really in the forefront of this, and we have to hope that other providers of Earth observations follow their lead. And another important trend has been the political support that Earth observations are receiving, certainly through GEO, and CEOS is often called the space arm of GEO. All of these trends coming together suggest that over the next 5 years, the capabilities from Earth observation satellites will be dramatically improved, and it's very important that this community continue to communicate to policymakers to let them know what they can expect, what kind of capabilities they can expect, not just today or tomorrow, but 5 years from now.
Around 10 years ago, Paul Crutzen introduced the naming of the present geological period, the Anthropocene, the geological period influenced by human beings. So with this short introduction, I would like to give the floor to Paul Crutzen so we can hear what is this thinking really about.
We have entered a new geological era. We cannot speak about our atmosphere and our Earth without considering also the influence of humankind, and in many cases, of course, very drastic. And because of that, I have adopted a new term, and that's the Anthropocene. That's a new geological era in which is dominated by man's activities.
Climate is normally understood to be the average weather influencing the global biosphere. Satellites can contribute to the monitoring of the climate, and I will show a few examples focusing on the weather and climate issue. So here you see an Atlantic hurricane. Tropical cyclones can cause significant loss of property and human lives, as we know. The last decade shows around 20% decline in the aerosol sickness. This probably is reducing the aerosol cooling effect. And as you see now, the stratosphere is now cleaner than for many, many years.
Is it feasible to monitor the world's tropical forests? I mean, the question of being feasible to monitor one specific country's tropical forest is already answered by a qualified yes. Brazil does it, India does it, other countries do it. But the question of getting every one of the world's tropical forests as a global observing system is not as simple to do. So CEOs and the Space Agency set about to try to say how we can solve this problem. And why are we interested in solving it? As some of you who are following the discussions from COP15, COP15 is moving towards a REDD regime. It is now, I've got firm indications from many of the negotiating sides that REDD, which means a reduction for emissions for deforestation degradation, will be on the resolutions taken on COP15, which means that countries, parties to the convention, should have the ability to do what we call MRV, monitoring, reporting, and verification of forests.
We want to inform about the benefits of using satellites for climate monitoring, so we can increase the awareness of the importance and, of course, at the end, of the funding and the use of our data.
Well, I have introduced a new terminology in the Anthropocene. It's a new geological term in which mankind plays a leading role. And so I'm, together with a number of other scientists, have proposed to call this new geological era in which mankind is so important as the Anthropocene. The question is how far we are going beyond this limit. Anthropocene probably will be with us for many, many years, as long as human beings bring species into the atmosphere which affect climate and the chemistry in the ozone layer, for instance. Because it's so dependent on how mankind is going to behave in all those years. And so far we haven't been very wise in the use of natural resources. The question is if we will get to that point. I hope so, but sometimes I'm very pessimistic.
And now we can see that actually the upper atmosphere is becoming cleaner, and is more clean now than it has been before, clean of dust. And this might be because we do not have that many emissions on ground from power plants and so on without filtering. So there are some good news also, although we are looking at the risks for the globe of the increased population. There's another good thing is that next year there will be a report on the ozone in the atmosphere, and also one could see from these preliminary data that it seems that the total ozone content in the atmosphere is slightly increasing through the last 14 years. So there are positive news, although what this conference is about is to make decisions on reductions of CO2, and this, of course, has to be in focus.